In the shadow of the Sierras, wagon drivers had this strange promontory in sight for many days before it was reached. It has been called Wagon Mound by travelers on the old and the new trails. It is in this vicinity that the two main routes of the Santa Fe Trail join, and to this day there is a complex pattern of traces that connect the major routes. And in the center of these lie the ruins of Fort Union, a national monument preserved in the dry air of the big country to remind travelers of a period of vibrant activity. Throughout the 1850s and 1860s, protection of the trail and the New Mexico territory was a major concern of United States military forces. The garrison station here policed the frontier, and the Santa Fe Trail was their sole route of communication and supply. Their freight volume handled during the later stages of the trail era rivaled the peak periods of Santa Fe itself. A visitor to Fort Union is able to walk in the ruts left by vehicles of another century to review the fearful vastness of this land, to reflect of the hardship that others endured in an endeavor that produced an amazing expansion that abetted the westward thrust. The soldiers of those times built with native materials, fashioning adobe bricks that have withstood the ravages of nature. The same as did the Spaniards and the Indians, who for many centuries used this material for homes and places of worship. This once thriving Indian community of Pecos was visited by Coronado in 1540, by the travelers of the old Santa Fe Trail, and by the caravaneers of 1961. The story of the trail contains many incidents of encounters with the Indians, many of them bloody events full of terror. Yet the excitement of the stories of Indians in peaceful pursuits is as great. The Indian revered the land, and he worshiped those things that appalled the vast nature which surrounded him. To pay his respects, he took time to express a ceremonial tribute to the mightiest bird in his domain, the eagle, or to the smallest bird that he knew, a species with rainbow plumage, the hummingbird. These Indians of the mountain tribes demonstrated their ancient ceremonial dances at each stop of the modern caravan. They also performed some of the newer creations that were designed to entertain visitors, travelers along the trail. For the athlete is at once a symbol of tribal stature. It has been that way for centuries, exactly as the gladiators, the archers, the Olympic competitors of ancient Greece, and today. Significantly, we must return to the end of the trail, the plaza at Santa Fe, where millions of dollars changed hands during the era of this colossus. It was traditional that a celebration welcomed each wagon train. Such an event took place before the governor's palace in 1961 to rededicate memories of 400 years of Francisco Coronado and Father Padilla. Of Don Diego de Vargas and the Spanish reconquest of New Mexico. Of wagons, animals, men, and women. Of writers who documented the adventures, of peddlers and their merchandise, the country doctor, and the circuit rider, and those hardy souls who sought out the West to establish a home, to raise their children, to seek, each in his own way, an El Dorado. For El Dorado to the Spaniards is the mythical city of incredible wealth and infinite pleasure, and this was the dream goal of the pioneers. Today's new modern highway is scarcely out of sight of the old traces that connect the Missouri River with this ancient capital. Major air and rail routes perpetuate the trade started nearly a century and a half before. We see reminders of the teachings of Christ, but we're required to seek out the landmarks of this great Santa Fe Trail heritage. Here on the Plaza of Santa Fe is a reminder that we must keep close contact with this important, formative period of the West and the nation. For to excel the past, we must keep it under our feet, study it, revere it, because we have raised ourselves upon it. And that, my friends, is why we have told of the Santa Fe Trail and the 1961 caravan, through Quivira to El Dorado.